All right. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our video Light Language Clearing Bloodline Karma and Going Beyond Polarity. I am here with Rebecca Barfoot and Lisa Watson. And we are very excited to do this live broadcast with you all. I think there's going to be some incredible information that comes through. Also, some really beautiful healing transmissions. And there's just so much here to talk about. So, without further ado, I'd love to first introduce to you Rebecca Barfoot. Rebecca is a multi-dimensional seer, intuitive channel, and she's been on our podcast Enlighten Up, and she's got beautiful gifts to share with us today. Rebecca, welcome, and can you let everyone know a little bit about you?
Hi, it's great to be here. Wow, yeah, I am I'm an intuitive and also a channel for light language and also for angels and ETs. My channeling bandwidth is pretty broad, so I bring in a lot of information about ascension pathways and the new earth and ways we can stay heart-centered and help heal ourselves and the planet as we move toward a place of forgiveness and reconnection with our eternal selves and each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing what emerges today with Lisa, my companion in the light language, and then Nicole and all of our guests. So.
Yeah, Lisa, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
I'm Lisa Watson, and I am co-host with Nicole on Enlighten Up, and a light language channeler. So I'm really excited. I can feel them knocking at my door right now. Like they're just so excited. They want to talk to everybody.
Well, why don't we, before we go into all the beautiful transmissions that are going to come in, because we're going to talk about three main topics tonight. We're going to talk about light language. We're going to talk about clearing bloodline karma, the collective karma. And we're also going to talk about the polarities of the masculine and feminine and how to go beyond that and really move into the healing of it all. So first, just so that if there's anyone in the audience who's really unfamiliar with light language, do either of you want to just share what you know light language to be?
Rebecca?
No, at least in our, well, you want to say something? Okay. Botica de Moshgalanda, Galanda, Himot, Homeland, the Clef of Shotland, Pole, Shiva, Ultrali, Simla, but the Bolette, so light language is a language from the stars and deep in the earth, from farther than you can fathom with your linear minds, people on the call. Most of you have heard of this. You are living in the far out lands that have drawn you into this podcast tonight. The language of love, it is. The language that the heart understands, it is. The language that does not translate word for word in your conceptual mind. You know, on this time on earth, we have brought you these languages coming up in the people of the earth so that you will begin to understand something beyond linear conceptual mind. So you will begin to understand the language of heart. So light language, we could say, bypasses thinking mind, and it is received by your higher self and your heart space, dear one. You don't have to think about receiving the languages of light in your mind. You open up your body, your cells, your pores, your multidimensional being, and it will be received. There's nothing you have to do, just open yourself and your mind. So your body receives codes to activate DNA and help align you with the thought stream, mind stream, heart stream of your heart.
Perfect.
Yeah, excuse me, that was kind of long, and we didn't know we were going to, I was hoping something more conceptual would come in from my mind. But Lisa, why don't you give us a little bite?
Well, I think that was perfect. I mean, it's to bypass, humans and us wanting to analyze every word. And, it's just a language that speaks to your soul and speaks to your heart and brings with it codes, I think, for healing. And I'm definitely no expert on it. I just open my mouth and it comes out.
It comes out like a faucet.
Yeah.
Right, Lisa? I mean, is that kind of your...
It is. It's always there. It just seems to always be there. And sometimes I'll just say, like, knocks on my door a little louder than other times. Like, no, we really want to come out. And sometimes I can just say, yeah, not right now. Like, I hear you in there, but not now.
Yeah, I'm in a meeting. They don't know what light language is, so just kind of whisper in my ear. I think there's probably, we're not opening up chat for questions yet, but I think people might be wondering where is it coming from? Are there beings who help with this? And I would say that there are multiple dialects of light language, and more seem to be emerging kind of all the time, which is far out. There's really elemental Davic energies that come forward that are very playful and like from the forest and the land. And then there's native and indigenous. I sometimes am quite, and I think I might include you, Lisa, in this. And do you feel like indigenous presence sometimes?
Definitely.
Very much. Yes, and also the different galactic languages. I will say, I at times experience the light language as if it's coming out of me in a different light body and timeline in which I'm actually a Pleiadian being. Like I see my body as Pleiadian, and as I'm speaking, it's like it's a direct transmission from the Pleiadian itself. So I hope that clarified rather than confused anybody, but there's different origin points for the languages that I understand.
I mean, I know that I speak at least 6 different languages, and at different times, one is more prevalent than others. But sometimes just it switches up to something that totally surprises me, that nothing I've heard before. And I'm like, my tongue will start to get really tired because I'm like, I don't know how to make these noises.
I like hearing that from you, Lisa, because the other night I had like these, it was like clicks and it was some like insectoid tones, and it was very hard to keep my mouth going with whatever was happening. Anyway, yes, to all that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And I just wanted to say a quick hello to everyone in the chat, everyone who's saying hi. Hello, everyone. We see you. Daniela, Michelle, Marcus, Dee Dee, Christian, Shelly. Hello, everyone. Kayla, Free Press. We're going to take questions in a little bit. But first, there are these light language healing transmissions that come through. How does the body receive it? Like, how does the body interpret it? Because I know it's not the mind. How does the body receive the healing into the DNA?
I'm really not sure. I'm going to have to let Rebecca answer that.
Okay. Do you mind if I come through and channel on that?
No, go ahead.
Is that okay? So the question was, how does the body receive actually the language? How is that working? That's a great question, and it gets swimmy because we're trying to articulate in linear mind something that's very quantum. So I'm just going to listen in and see what we have. Hold on. You can think about it like the water going into places that are dry inside of you, places that need the moisture. Like you're standing out in the rain and it fills your cells, your desiccated being receives that moisture that goes back into eternity and forwards into infinity. It's not something you have to understand. We said that, but we understand the questions. We understand why you would want to know. It's very strange, these light languages emerging at this time on Earth. It's received like water, like you're standing in the rain after you've been living in the desert. And your body does not have to say, what do I do with the water? Your skin just goes, oh me, oh my. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your cells are like that as they receive, and your DNA is like that. Imagine it's a well that's run dry. Maybe it's been tampered with, so there's holes in the well. We know that has happened to you people over time. So it helps restore the well so you can fill up your tank with the water from the womb space of beginningless time. Okay, thank you. So I don't. They gave us a metaphor. I hope that made some sense. I think that was kind of. I got that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense to me. And I know our logical minds always want to know, like, what's happening. People want to know what it means. Like, we start making all these strange noises and sounds, and people want to know what does it mean? Like, what are you saying? And I think for me, because I don't know, I don't have any interpretation of it. I trust in it so much, like it's coming through me, and I know that whatever it is meant for healing, and it's giving us whatever it is that we need at that time.
1 second here. It's saying that, oh, here we are, we're back. Okay. The chat is down, I think, because I can't see the chat right now, but it's saying that we're live still, so that's okay. I'm just trying to see if I can pull up the chat on my phone, but for some reason I can't, and I don't know why.
I have a chat on my end. Can you see you don't see a dialog box?
I see the dialog box, but it says it's disconnected. But can you see is the chat going on the YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Oh, on the YouTube.
On the YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube.
I can't. I'm not on YouTube, so I don't know.
I can get on it though.
Okay. I don't know. So for everyone watching, I'm not sure why the chat was disconnected. So, and I'm trying to, let me see here. Let me go out of this. Just really quickly, because I want to make sure. I'm not sure. It's saying that, I've got about like 34 people watching, and it's all running properly. So we'll just keep going, and hopefully the chat will come back. So let's talk about clearing bloodline karma and clearing the collective karma. Because that's actually something that people have been mentioning to me ever since I did my video on Monday. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has sent me emails, private messages on Facebook, comments. I am just so overwhelmed and so in deep gratitude for the incredible energy you've all sent through your words, through energy gifts. My energy has been so amazing this week, and I have to attribute it to all of you, because I've been so overwhelmed and brought to tears many times from everyone's well wishes. And so I just want to say thank you very much to everyone. You guys are amazing and just filled with love. So my deepest gratitude to you all. With this whole idea of clearing bloodline karma and clearing the collective, we kind of have an idea of what that means, in a sense that we're going to be doing a lot of the healing for the family on the deeper levels that maybe they're not able to do or aware of to do. But, and that concept kind of made sense to me, but I didn't realize until I started going through it, the emotional impact of that and what that feels like. And that kind of took me by surprise, because I didn't realize that you had to feel so many emotions while you went through it. And Rebecca, I'm curious, what is it that you really know about bloodline clearing that you'd love to share with the audience?
Yeah, it's a rich topic, and I guess relating it to kind of like what's really up in our collective right now. We have so much of the shadow of millennia is rising and rising to the surface in our world, and we see that all around.
Yeah, it's a rich topic, and I guess.
Oh, I'm getting
to
yeah.
Kind of like what's really up in our collective right now. We have so much of our shadow of millennia is rising and rising to the surface in our world, and we see that all around. Yeah, it's a rich topic, and
there's a repeat on the audio. Are you guys? Is that just on my end, or are you hearing that also?
No, I'm hearing it.
I hear it. Kind of like what's really up in
Does
our
someone have their YouTube open?
We have so much of our shadow of millennia is rising and rising to the surface.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Sorry, you guys. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks like it's ended. That was an awesome echo. Okay. You're okay. We're going to continue. It's like every time you guys talk with me, there's this techno thing.
I think people are used to YouTube lives going a little wonky.
Wonky?
It does tend to, especially with all this energy that we have.
There's a lot here. Anyway, the clearing of the bloodline karma is just part of what's arising. The collective shadow, as we talk a lot about ascension. What is the ascension process about, and moving into places of unity rather than polarity. But that has to always begin, I'll just make it personal, like, okay, so for my own journey, I'm aware of certain things that I have taken on maybe inadvertently from, my own, say my natal family or my ancestry. And I don't think we necessarily have to take those things on and, necessarily come in to process those things. But the information I've received in channel is that we often, we receive quite frequently or sign up to without knowing it, maybe as part of our soul mission to help clear certain aspects of polarity, we could say, and just all the fear and aggression that are passed down from, birth to bloodline to, coming down through the ages, cycles of abuse and trauma and violence and addiction and things like that. So we can associate that sometimes with, we may begin to see, and I see this in clients or myself, how somebody has an ailment. Maybe it's in their lungs, maybe it's in the reproductive system, and they're not sure what's causing it. And sometimes a client will come to me and I can see, or even somebody brings a pet to me and I can see that it's not necessarily them and theirs. It's just that it's something they are kind of doing with their body, like, empathic sort of sponging up, if you will, of the problem so we can heal it. And I think when my perception, and it may, there's always more coming in, I don't know all that is, but is that when the people before us maybe weren't very in learning how to work with their emotional situation or their trauma, that gets passed on almost cellularly. Our body knows somatically, we remember from birth. We have like a direct line to some of that, and it doesn't just go away. And some of us will have more and less of that, and I can't begin to say that I understand the why someone will have more than another. It does seem that empaths and starseeds and light workers end up with a little bit more of that particular dynamic happening for them. What I would say, and not belabor anything, I don't want to keep talking, but just that we don't have to process it with the body. And that's what it means when we say maybe we have to feel something to heal it, is that we can, by tuning in, or me tuning into whatever anguish I'm having in the moment, or whatever's going on, if I have something, whatever our kerfuffle is at the moment, if I turn toward it and say hi to it, or, acknowledge what's there, it begins to dissipate. And so with the collective, the family stuff we're working with, it's shadow material that doesn't have to be scary once we begin to turn toward it. It doesn't mean we have to feel every nuance of it, but we can just be the witness and say, hi, I see you. I know it's been hard, almost like we're speaking to an emotion or speaking to an energy field. And once we see something, like if you've been ignoring a child and sending it to the corner its whole life, it's not happy, it's not responsive. But once you begin to look at the shadow side and draw it into the light, it does begin to heal. And that's what happens. We can work with things. I mean, this is workable. I think that's where I'm going to, is this is all very workable with certain skills that maybe we haven't been allowed to develop or given within the culture as it is, but that we can learn to come into ourselves, and collectively, individually, collectively, we can do that. So I hope that was useful in some way.
Well, you made me think about like generational diseases, whether it be cancer, lung cancer, ovarian stuff that's passed on from generation to generation. And, doctors will always tell you that your chances of getting this disease are much higher if your family has had it. And that puts a whole new perspective on it for me.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I've always felt like, I'm in control of my body and my life. And just because my mother has something and my grandmother had it, it doesn't have to be my reality. Like, I don't believe in that. Yeah. But the way that you're speaking about it makes me think, maybe it is, and maybe we're given the opportunity to clear whatever was the root to that illness, whether it be depression or just feeling those feelings. So, I'm just really curious, like how a person knows. Like, I've had this backache for 2 years. I've asked many intuitives and psychics, and, I don't get anything about it. I speak light language to it all the time. I mean, it's getting better, but I feel like there's something in me that says this doesn't have anything to do with me in this lifetime. And I could, but I don't know, and you just kind of wonder how. I guess we need professionals like Rebecca to find out.
Oh, well, yeah. Boy, it's a beautifully swimmy realm, because there are so many factors. I mean, we can start to feel the body. Like for me, I went through, and most of us, this is true for many of us, in a very disembodied culture in which we're here. We live from here up. So we can go most of our life without feeling anything much at all at a subtle level below the neck. And like for me, there was so much pain in my body that I was kind of numb, or I didn't notice things until I began to meditate and really sit with my somatic experience and my heart experience, and just the experience of being alive in this being that I am and that you are. So I want to get back to your thing though about your back. It could be it could be a lot of things. It could be collective stuff, it could be family stuff, and it could just be something from long ago that isn't in that area where you were hurt, maybe an emotional wound. I mean, we store little blips and dips and this and that's in our little body. Sometimes when we live in such a busy world too, we're not able to always process even joy. I can't always stop and feel what's going on. And so it's almost like it sticks in me somewhere. And that is not across the board everyone's experience. I know I, as a sensitive, empathic person, am really prone to that. Like, I'm too scared, or maybe something when I was a little person and I was too scared to do anything with it because life was too scary. And so I stuck it somewhere. And later on, I got like all this stuff in my sacrum that I don't know how to work with. Like, my sacrum is frozen. I can't do anything with it. I feel helpless. And slowly over time, and that is a real situation for me, real life. And like working with it in such a tender way over time. And actually, like you said, Lisa, I've been speaking light language to it. It's almost like, I said about that little kid in the corner. It's just like you kind of go, hey, honey, how's it going? How's that? I talk to my sacrum. Hi, baby, how's it going, sweetie? Like a little person. And it kind of just like gives me these lights, our body's alive, our cells are alive. If you think about living in a quantum universe, everything is energy. Energy is intelligent, it's sentient, and it responds to our thoughts, our hearts, our minds. Our thoughts are feeding our cells all the time. What are we giving it? We know that. Isn't that beautiful? And never to blame ourselves. Like if I have whatever pain's going on, like I have this thing in my neck where I'm always like, what is this? Like this is always like, I'm holding something there, and it's like this lifelong journey, this somatic, the tales of the soma are always rich in speaking to us. So, wow.
Alexandra in the chat says that she found that once the perspective is shifted from living an experience to looking to it as a lesson, what needs to be learned through the pain and suffering, that changes everything. And I agree. It's definitely so. And I just really quickly to the chat, guys, I had to switch over onto a different internet thing, and I think that's helped the stream because it was really buffering a lot. I think the health of the stream was kind of compromised. Is everyone getting a better experience on this live stream right now? Because oh man, technology, it's just so fun. So just if you guys can let me know in the chat that it's not buffering for you anymore, it's all much better. Okay, good, great. So this idea of really going within and bringing in that compassionate part, that mothering, nurturing part, like speaking to your body like it's a small child or an infant, and really nurturing it in that way, I found is like very, very powerful. And thank you, everyone. I'm glad to see. Okay, it's a lot better. And with myself and my own healing, I've really found this. Well, it's so interesting, the synchronicity that happened here. I was in a meditation last night. Was it last night? I think it was last night. And I was working with colors for the first time. And not the first time that I've worked with, but it really became apparent when I asked for certain, for myself to be put into a certain pillar of light. They showed me light pink and light purple colors in this whole like pillar of light that I was being surrounded in. And I thought that was really interesting because I'm usually seeing white light. And then I noticed that through that healing, all of a sudden in the areas that I'm trying to work on, all this really green energy, and it's misty, like it's really misty energy, and then dark flames within that mist were like coming out of my body where I was doing the healing, and then it just instantly changed to blue. And I was like, wow, and that's never happened to me before. And then I opened up your email last night and you're like, I'd like to talk about color frequency healing and all that. And I'm like, this is just so synchronized. You can't even make this stuff up. So I'd love to hear, Rebecca, like, because, you have a very beautiful special guide, Nemo, who...
Oh, God, Nemo.
Who, if Nemo has something to share here, we'd really welcome him to come through, because he spoke about the color frequency on our podcast,
he did,
Enlighten Up. And I'd love to let our audience know how colors can actually really assist us in our healing, and how do we use them, and what colors do we know are right for us and all. I think that would be great.
Okay. I'm tuning, Nemo. So if you're new and if you haven't listened to the podcast, Nemo's actually a mantis being who is my perpetual teacher in a way about things related to color, light, frequency, and sound. So I communicate with this being it's telepathy, so it's not so much channeled stream coming out of my mouth. It's much more subtle, and it's received in the body. So I was just listening there in the gap. So there are millions of different colors within galactic spectrum that you have available to you. Everyone will be unique in what it is they need for their healing of certain aspects of the emotional body, the subtle body, the causal body, etheric body, physical body, mental body. Your experience will be unique to you. The colors have a vibration, which is sound, which is energy, which is light. And there's form within all of these. They create a dance that moves through your body. Again, we go back to the science of the cells. What do the cells know? Cells receive different frequencies of light, which appear to your eyes as color in different ways for your healing. Now you can create clouds of light, channels of light, beings of light themselves will come to you. You often know these as angels. They are associated with different color frequencies. All you have to do is sit with yourself. And we sing to open the crown, and open the crown to receive different colors. So make yourself open and available basically to receiving a stream, and that will go into you in different ways. You can work that way and receive what comes to you and see where it goes. You can actually focus on, like if your low back is hurting or something, you can work with just asking for help and saying, is there a frequency there that could heal me? Is it a color? Can you show me? Some of you who might not feel so visual, that might be kind of difficult, but it might be really accessible, because I think a lot of us in meditation begin to see color, and you might not see anything, and that's okay. But once ask is the key, ask an intention. So clarifying that in your whatever space, your quiet time to do that. And ask the colors to come in and just pay attention. And the other thing you can do is say, okay, I'm surrounding myself with green. What does that feel like? And let it really swim through your body. Let it really permeate the cells. And it's like you're tuning to that frequency, which is the band of light is sound is color. You begin to glow in the cells again with the color of that light. The colors don't stay static, they just begin to change. They begin to change like a mood offering. Once you make the portal open to the organ or hurt place in your heart, it just begins as you open that portal to stream different colors like sound through the heart, like liquid running through the back. It just opens like a key in the lock. The color field opens the key, the door, the portal to your healing. It is just one way. There are many ways to heal, but using color is a beautiful way to heal. Using color is one of the gifts that we use in Lemuria. Color, sound, frequency, and the sonar beyond human hearing is what we can offer you. Yeah, it opens up this really, oh wow, it's luminous. It's again, it's almost like talking about light language, because I don't know that what just came through is that intelligible in a linear way. Yeah, it's like, how do we talk about the quantum in a conceptual way? And something as simple as color, but also like, how can that be healing? Well, because it's attached to the quantum realm, and like I hear color, but not everyone necessarily will be able to do that. So I think that was a little long-winded, and I don't know if that was clear. You can be just bathed in colors. Some of you who work with angels will know that they appear in very, maybe very bright and bold colors. And like I experienced that as just this light bath. And you know how that feels? Like every color is a little different. Letting it just, like the light language, just be absorbed in your body. Just like drink it drink that like water and ask it to just speak to the color like it's a living being, because it is, and it will respond to your thoughts. Let it flow through you, and know that it carries vibration codes from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. And you could start seeing colors that you've never really seen, that don't relate to something our visual eyes pick up. And that goes into a whole nother beautiful quantum realm. So trying to ground this in 3D, but I will leave that open and see if that made sense to anybody.
So there's a question here related to the color spectrum. Alexandra asked if she's heard that the color spectrum's changing, and I'm just assuming that's because our perception is widening, like our perceive, like how we can perceive color is expanding, so we're able to see different colors, but also that people, okay, she's saying that people are starting to see and understand colors that don't exist in the normal spectrum, that they don't recognize. Is there more info on that? What are your thoughts on that, Lisa or Rebecca?
Lisa?
Well, that makes total sense. I mean, our bodies are changing in our eyes and everything else. So I think that we would be able to see new colors that we're not aware of before. And, as far as meditation and colors and all that go, I've always been one that I see a lot of colors when I meditate. That's pretty much all that comes to me. And Rebecca, when you were saying that it's like a being, like a thing, I feel that. Like orange will be there brighter, then the green will come in, and then it's like blue, and certain colors I'm like really happy when they show up. I'm like, oh yay, feels so nice. But they just have their own energy field. Like I see it as like a spirit being almost, when the color comes in.
I like that, Lisa. That kind of lights me up. Well, and the question, thank you for that question. I think it's true that what I'm getting is that our bandwidth is really increasing. So our perception is opening up individually and collectively. Right now, there's a huge window for that. The sentience of the color fields, and it's also coming in as we become more light bodies and less, if we want to talk about 5D, I think that is a lot more about color and frequency and light itself. Light has so much to teach us, the literal, the quantum mechanics behind that, like, whoa, swimming. It's a lot. But it's also really simple. Like, I think Lisa grounded that really well with just like, it feels really good. It feels good.
Yeah, and I think the way I see it is that, no pun intended, that how we perceive light, our actual eyes can only perceive between 400 and 700 nanometers of the color spectrum, which is like your basic, like your red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white light spectrum. But our pineal gland can go beyond that spectrum. And as we raise our frequency, our perception abilities, I believe, are expanding, and we're able to see things not only in different colors, but in like HD in a way. Because I know, Lisa, like you've commented how everything just seems like it's HD, like so like crispy and like vibrant. And I feel like that's part of it, is as we go through this ascension process and we start integrating more light and our frequency starts to rise, we're able to start perceiving things that were not within our abilities to perceive before. Now, Nicole Connolly asks a great question. She says that she's heard that existing colors are becoming more pastel with more white light infusion, and also that raising octaves, like a new spectrum of color, makes sense as we raise the octaves. So, I have to say to Nicole that I'm definitely starting to perceive more pastel-y colors in my meditation. They're definitely coming in. I don't necessarily see them in my waking life yet, but I'm definitely being given more like pastel-y colors. Like, for instance, the it was pastel-y, lavender, pink colors all mixed together, like really misty and almost like really etheric looking, and with also like these really particles of light dancing in the colors as well, like I find. So I definitely think there's something to that. And it's just really interesting. I love this idea of using color in healing. And for anyone who's watching, if you're really unsure of like what to choose, I think that was great guidance, Rebecca, that came through, to just ask for the guidance on what colors to use, to be shown, to, and you may see it in your mind's eye, you may get a thought in your mind of a word of the color. Go with it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't second guess it. Whatever comes in instantaneously is likely what you're being guided to use. And the more you follow that, the stronger those messages come in and the quicker they come in, and you're just going to get really good at perceiving those incoming messages. Because I didn't ask for colors when I went. I didn't even expect color. So when they just showed up, I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So I think it's just wild how many avenues we have to use in healing. We have sound, we have color, we have our own ability to visualize and go in and use like quantum healing and so many different things that are available to us.
I think also with color, I would say if you notice a certain color showing up in your day, like you would numbers or something like that, to pay attention, because I've had days where like the color green just seems like it's in my face like all the time. Like I don't know, why am I seeing so much green today? Like it just is really brought to my attention. And I think it's like when you start to understand the language of your angels, maybe they're trying to tell you something like to
they are. I know. I just thought a lot of times beings are attached to those colors, or the upper dimensional beings may express as a color field. In my experience, that's just my end.
Christian asked, what about seeing bright white? He sees bright white a lot. It's always a good feeling. Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the best of all, really, because you got everything in there. We all know that's the white light surrounding us is that's very potent. The white that sort of just aligns us with the upper dimensions all by itself. Like white is, we could say white is a color, if you will.
And we all have white on.
And we all ended up wearing white. That was really interesting.
So funny. So I think, I hope that everyone can start using color more. And if you guys have anything else to add on the color in the chat, like please do. Shelly says she's seeing the light seems very luminescent. Nicole seeing rainbows, auras around lights now, which is really cool. Definitely the rainbow energy is coming in really strong.
Yeah.
I'm definitely seeing a lot of that. Let's see. So, guys, in the chat, do you guys have any questions about clearing like the collective karma, blood? Do you guys still have any questions about that you want to ask before we move on to the masculine feminine? I just want to make sure that if anyone has any questions that we answer them before we kind of move on. So it makes sense to ask those questions now since we're on the topic. So if any of those start to come in through the chat before we move on, I just think it's so wild that we have this ability to really kind of level up in our giving to this planet, in helping to assist those who aren't aware yet or not aware of how they can do their own healing. And it's kind of like, when you have that awareness, it's almost like I don't want to say it's your duty or your dharma, but in a way it kind of is to spark the light within other people. And we kind of spark that light by doing that energetic clearing. And I think, this idea of clearing the collective, to me, it brings a lot of hope in. And also you wouldn't realize it, but I've now really realized it, that a lot of the healing that we do as light workers and star seeds here also has to do with receiving. And we give so much, but we also don't realize the major lesson in receiving and how important it is for us to continuously receive so that we can continue to do this work on the greater scales and having that balance. And I mean, this week alone has been just a huge, it's like it spotlighted it for me in such a beautiful way of knowing that because we are literally receivers on this planet. We're receivers for all of the incoming light, all of the insight, all the knowledge, and grounding that energy here on the planet. And so it's important that we're always practicing that part of us that can receive, not just from like the higher dimensions, but here on Earth with our 3D like families, you know, like that we're receiving here as well, and allowing that receiving to come in so that we continue the flow through, you know, that flow of 5D, 3D, so that we are opening the channel below into the earth and keeping it open above so that we keep that flow. So as we give, we're still always receiving. I don't know if you two have anything you want to say about that before we move on.
It just made me think of what we talked about in one of our podcasts recently about someone wanting to help you with your luggage. You know, if you're in the airport and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, can I help you, you know, carry that or bring it up the stairs?" Let them get the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really, I like to always make what I talk about personal because it's relevant. That I have been admonished many, many times over the last few, I don't know how long, to always include myself in the hoop of giving and receiving as I go through my day, helping other people and doing light language and channeling and all this. You know, I as the channel have to be receiving so that I'm, you know, we get depleted. We know this. People on this call know this. We get depleted if we're not receiving. But a lot of us can have, or some of us may have, and this relates to trauma, going back to like ancestral trauma, maybe a block about that, and it's more difficult for us to receive. So like opening up the cells and pouring in light language and colors and things, and really making ourselves open and available like an infant to receive nourishment of earth and sky, the mother of Gaia, and maybe, you know, star fields, star families. Boy, it's so important. So important. It's one of my things in this life that I'm also working on. So it's awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Nicole. The receptive aspect, which is part of feminine flow, and in all of us, like lighting that up, so we become receivers in a culture where we're always doing. So
yeah.
I'm gonna post a light language video about that. Yeah. About just a channeling to help people with receiving.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. I can't wait for that.
We talked about it, Rebecca and I just haven't done it yet, so I will.
Yeah. So just looking through here in the chat. Okay, people want us to talk a little bit about ringing in the ears, number synchronicities, but before we do, okay, light language life, she just wanted to share that she sings light language for all her ancestors across all timelines to raise frequency and clear. It's felt very effective. That's amazing. Good for you for doing that. There is breaking the time-space barriers is so important. And Alexandra got called into service a little over a year ago, literally got told that she's got God's work to do and has opened up massively, but what is the best way to open up the connection to receive messages? That's a very common question for everyone, not knowing what they're getting. And then also, let's see here. Let's see, Nicole, I too was feeling the sting of collective clearing of the divine feminine at the same time you were. Just saw that today. Oh, feel you. Thank you. We have the same name too. How synchronistic is that? And okay, so before we get into divine feminine masculine, can we quickly go over ringing in the ears and then number synchronicity? Because from what I understand, like the ringing in the ears is all about the calibration of the body into the higher frequencies, and that's just one way of experiencing it, as through like ringing in the ears. I've also heard that it's also related to the masculine energies balancing within you, bringing balance into the masculine energies. What do you guys, I know, Lisa, you experience a lot of...
I do have a lot of ringing in the ears. I read somewhere someone posted something or commented about how now to them it's just like a song. They just like tune into it like it's a song because it's happening all the time. And that's how I feel. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something's going on. But I'd be interested to hear if there's any channeled messages or anything about the ringing in the ears.
Hang on here. Yeah. Oh boy. Wow. It feels like there's a few things that could be going on. And I think it depends. Oh, okay. Oh, well, some of that relates to matrix control, systems that are losing their grip on humanity at this time, but sometimes the ringing can be your system trying to connect with higher frequencies and also deflect the negativity. It can be somewhat nefarious, the ringing. I don't want me, as Rebecca saying, I don't want people to go, oh my God, something's really wrong. There's a few different things. I do think it depends on the individual, but sometimes they're showing me frequencies of the towers and the cell and the Wi-Fi and things that can also contribute to that. So I don't know that all of the ringing is positive. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's wicked and dark, but I think there's as there's more manipulations with energy trying to offset our ascension process, if you will, we might be experiencing more of that. So you can interpret that in a variety of ways.
What can people do if they're experiencing heavy ringing in the ears, and it could be matrix related? What can they do to mitigate that?
Yeah, this is really good because my guys have been giving me more information about that. Message from the Pleiadians themselves coming in, and they want you to know, be in the heart space, connect with the earth, open the crown, open the root, open your feet. The more you entrain with Mother Gaia, the more you are strong. Let that Gaia Mother love run up through your body. You remember the earth frequency. You know you absorb more garbage from the matrix if you're disconnected from the earth. Let that rise into the heart. Heart is biggest battery pack of all. There's nothing in the matrix that can harm you when you learn to live. In place of the heart has the biggest, brightest, most colorful light of anything that exists here in your sphere on earth. Once you expand and resonate with the earth and the heart and the star light, your field becomes, if we may say, dear one, impermeable to the matrix. They don't want you to know this. Why do you think they've been having you live in fear? You won't know the powers of your heart. Just develop your heart. The ringing, if it is not positive for you, will dissipate. Oh, well, that was, it's sure. That's spot on. The more we develop our own field and we become impermeable. I mean, people ask me as a channel I work with lots of off-planet energies. Aren't you afraid? And it's like, I'm in my heart space. That is actually our biggest protection, no matter what's happening. So
people in the chat really responded to that. They love that.
That's
so
great.
Thank you for that. They're all saying thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you, Palladians, for coming in.
Oh yeah.
I love our P family.
Yeah.
So And numbers. Let's just talk really quickly about numbers. I mean, whoa, the synchronicities with numbers are just off the charts these days. I mean, just in the last 24 hours, I can't even tell you how many times I saw twos. It was like twos just kept coming in all day. 4 twos, 3 twos, 8 twos. And I was just like, how many twos can you give me in one time? So, Lisa, what's your insight onto the numbers?
Yeah.
You know, from what I understand, because like everyone, I mean, the number synchronicities are just crazy for me every day. Like, it just sometimes blows my mind. I think I pulled up my computer. I was on something, and it was like there was just all these numbers, and I looked and I was so confused because all I saw were fours. And then I was like, how is it possible that all these numbers in a row had, I can't even think of what it was that it was on, just had like 4 fours or 3 fours or 5 fours. I almost took a screenshot and sent it to Nicole. I'm like, I've been blasted with fours, not today, but generally. But from what I understand, I know that there's like numerology and or angel numbers. What is the number 4? What is the number 3? 11. What do they mean? But I also believe that they're codes that are helping to, raise us. And because being the matrix and being that everything is basically ones and zeros, right? That having these codes and seeing them all the time is actually reprogramming us. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but
it makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Rebecca, what do you think?
Yeah, I like that, Lisa. Yes, yes, indeed. It's the creation codes of the universe are based on mathematical, and we see that in like sacred geometric principles, and all sentient life is based on those creation codes. So I do think, nothing more to say. That was great. It is the numerological sequences that are if we think about the computer of Gaia and our being and our the World Wide Web of life strengthening, there are numbers. Like when I'm sitting in meditation, I see these streams of numbers. A lot of them are binary code, and they come from my left side, from Galactic Center, which is beaming this like big green. Anyway, there's numbers streaming out of there, and they're giving me those codes. So I think they're really helpful to us, and they will present numerical sequences to us to help activate DNA and other things. So it's all good. I mean, again, it's like that swimmy quantum, like how do we conceptualize that with linear mind? But that's an awesome question. I love that.
Yeah, and I also feel like, oh, sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love seeing the synchronistic numbers. It just makes me feel like my angels are around me all the time.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, I feel that if you're starting to really see in this synchronicities, that is a really good indicator that you are really tuned into not only just your path, like you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and but also that you're just really tuning into the messages coming in. And sometimes you don't always comprehend them in our minds, but the body, the DNA, the higher self knows exactly what to do with it. The heart knows exactly what to do with it. So it's just like, wow. And sometimes I also like to think about, like, when you guys are seeing your numbers, think about what's going on in your mind at that moment. Like, what were you just thinking about, or what just happened when you saw the numbers? There might be some clues there. If there's like a divine message coming in, they're trying to ask you to just kind of pay attention to that. That's another way to also read the numbers too. So just intuitively, it's more of like just intuitively feeling it out and seeing what feels right for you. So let's move on to the divine masculine and divine feminine. I love talking about this topic. It's one of my favorite, just because it's so important. And I think it's, there's just a lot of confusion even still. I run across this on different platforms where people still confuse the energies with gender, and the energies have nothing to do with gender. Each and every one of us has the divine masculine and divine feminine. In fact, bringing the divine masculine and feminine into balance, not neutralizing them, but bringing them into balance, allows them to harmonize and come into beautiful union, which is really what we're all trying to do right now so that we come into union with our highest self and becoming our best self. And that is, to me, full alignment with all that is creator energy and everything. So this idea of duality and polarity, how do we go beyond the polarity and not get caught up in the what I call like the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, which is the feminine out of balance and the masculine out of balance? How do we move beyond those polarities and come into this state of union where the masculine and feminine are really just merging into harmony and union with one another and just doing this beautiful dance with each other?
Rebecca?
Yeah, Lisa. Woo! That's a big. I just saw this in my vision. I just saw this millennia of like all these like intense energies. Like, oh my God. It's so beautiful, though. Thank you, Nicole. That was actually such a great explanation or lead into that. Thank you. Yeah, it's not about neutralizing or deleting one or the other. It's embracing all that we are and coming back into the 0 point within us. May I listen in to get something a little that's not going to come from my head?
Yeah,
or my thinking mind, just to see what's there, if there's any message about that. Oh. They're just speaking in light language. Lisa, I'm sure you want to say, do you want to say some light language there? It's just so much. It's like, it's not, sorry, we're not.
Oh yeah, they're always willing. And
I know, I was like, I think your little beings want to talk. I guess just about, we'll move into that soon. How do we integrate those things? It's about healing the woundedness within us. Everybody's going to have unique wounds. And it's facing that shadow, whatever it is, will lead you back. Whatever, there's an inner teacher in every woundedness that you have. So the inner teacher there in the wound is your portal to 0 point. Go back into the wound. It will take you where you need to go. You don't need to know even the languaging around masculine, feminine. There may be very specific languaging that will emerge for you. It's like water and fire and air, and balancing the elements, embracing your intuition, embracing your conceptual, rational being. But going into the wound, going into the shadow, embracing it like a small child with love, you will, once you heal whatever the wound is, that's for you, that has emerged. We're all here with a wound or many. That's our path. That is the path. That is the path.
And I think, letting go of to really ground it back to 3D.
Yeah.
Letting go of all the dogma and the programming that we've received our entire lives about what the masculine and the feminine, need or should be, and embracing all sides of ourselves and everyone else. It seems like today more than ever, there's this battle between masculine and feminine, and it's like, the feminine are trying to prove or gain their ground somehow that they thought that they lost, but by doing that, they're pushing the masculine away instead of embracing that as well. And I think it's just about embracing it from all sides, and that has to be done on a 3D level, because that's where we are. We're here down on planet Earth, so we have to act these things out in Earth,
Yeah, there's definitely a nefarious agenda to create discord between the masculine and the feminine here on Earth, as well as inverse the energy so that the women take on the masculine, the wounded masculine, and the men take on the wounded feminine. That's happening. It's playing out in our society right now, and it's really disturbing to me to witness. It's something that really saddens my heart, and so that's why it's one topic that I really like to talk about, because the only way, and I don't, and when I'm going to say this, and I don't want to upset anyone, and I hope no one is offended when I say this, because it's really coming from an honest and loving place. But we as women had to make movements over the last century to get to where we are. You know, there was definitely inequalities and all of that. And I feel like we're now at a point where there's nothing legally preventing women from doing exactly what men are doing. And, you know, there's always going to be some level of little imbalance here and there, just as with women. You know, there are certain advantages, and with men there may be certain advantages, and then they kind of like balance themselves out a little bit. I don't feel like we're really at disadvantages anymore. But there's this nefarious agenda that is really trying to permeate the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies and inversing them into wounded. And, you know, the only way that we come back into that is if we stop separating masculine and feminine apart. And so, as much as, like, you know, I love to see women empowering women or men empowering men, it's time that we stop creating these groups and these segregations of women trying to empower women or holding women up, or men doing the same, and come together, men and women, and know that we're empowered together and that we all have voices that can be heard. We all have beautiful things to share, and that we need to stop separating each other into these groups. And I think that it's really important that we start to go beyond, like, to me, that's part of going beyond polarity and really doing our part, that we start to recognize the beautiful aspects of the feminine, the beautiful aspects of the masculine, and how do we really harness and harmonize the best aspects of those energies within each of us, so that we're all like supporting one another and not creating these groups where one has to be, you know, empowered and listening to this way, or the other group, vice versa, and let the struggle dissolve itself. If we do that, I feel like the struggle in itself just dissolves and there's nothing left there. So be very aware of this agenda of creating this divisive nature between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And also, you know, key things to look out for is if, as a woman, because I can speak from this for myself, I used to be very much in my masculine energy, and I didn't respect my feminine energy. And so I felt I had to be aggressive. I felt I needed to be strong-willed all the time. I needed to be heard all the time. And I thought it was weak to be more in my feminine energy. And when in the last 10 years, as I've reconnected with my feminine energy and seeing the beautiful aspects of the nurturing and the compassionate parts and the silence, the witnessing, all of these beautiful aspects and how strong they actually are, that I was able to then start to really acknowledge the strength behind the divine feminine energies, and then use those with the masculine energies of not needing to go into wounded masculine, which is aggression, and pushing, like really pushing for things, and move into the harmonized masculine of structure, stability, strength, courage. Finding all those beautiful aspects of each energy and bringing them into harmony, I think, is so important. And that allows us to go beyond this polarity of feeling like it has to be one or the other, and not allowing the inverse to happen, because that to me is just, that it's very disturbing to me to see that happening right now. So I'm just curious what you guys have thoughts on that. And I'm going to read in through the chat because a lot came in.
I bet, yeah.
That was a beautiful explanation, Nicole. And I know that you've done some videos on masculine and feminine that are fantastic. So if anyone hasn't seen your videos, they should. Honestly.
Yeah, what you said in there about one word came up for me during that, and it was vulnerability. And I think increasing our capacity to be vulnerable with one another. And that's a scary place to go in a way, because who wants to expose? But that's one of the keys in the lock, I think, to healing all of that for all of us. Like you said, Nicole, coming in together and being with what is as we heal together, and integrating all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And being, I think you made me think when you said vulnerability is just about being your authentic self, and allowing that truth to shine through whatever it is, not feeling like you have to be one thing or the other. We talked about this a little bit on 11/11. We all chatted together just about like Facebook or social media and how we're always putting out, the good times and the good things, and that it's important that we show all sides of ourselves to everybody, and that so that everybody collectively can come together and know that we're all one, and we're all going through the same struggles, whether you're male or female, doesn't really matter. We're all going through the same things. So, expose yourself and be vulnerable, and allow your authentic self to come through, as well as not being judgmental and embracing others as they do the same.
Yeah. Lisa, I wanted to know if you had a transmission, a healing transmission for the masculine feminine right now, light language, that wanted to come through. And I know Dee Dee's on the chat right now. So Dee Dee, if you get any insight from this, because Dee Dee is our little translator for Lisa, we would love for you to throw that into the chat. Okay, Lisa, go for it.
Tasakatachitai ke nai kakuku fananini nai kichitai nina sikatichitai nehitai hokushnikatai se ke nai kakakititai nai kichishnika se Ainihite chachisnikatai te tatatai kiti chisnikatai se Aini nine and a nine and a nine and a nine kikiki chitatai sikatai nini nai che Hainai tuku kufanamani nai Onahise iche to ukustikate che to tonki itai tai tai inai ke chai ainihinai kunkukishnikatai se Aitai kunkushnikai se kunkiite kiite nananai kukushnikai se I kunkufunamanamani nai kunkinai kunkishnikai se Hayai inaite tai tunkukishnikai se nai Hayai unkukitite chai Omomofunamanamani nai Pufunamanamani nai kunke tai kunkishnikai se nai Hai te kai ihi nai kunkishnikatai se nai hai nai kunkuku phenomenomani nai ne hai nai ite inanani taito kushnikatai se hai nai itai ikuku phenomenamani tai. I have to stop them because I know these guys and they could go on forever. So I have to give them like, okay, your time's up, because they don't ever really like to stop.
Well, while you were saying that, Christian wrote in at 7-Eleven on his on the chat, and when he said that, I looked and it was 7-Eleven on my phone and 71% battery. So, Dee Dee, if you have any insight you want to share from that, we'd love to hear from you. And if anyone else got insight from that, please share it in. If you got any transmissions through that, share it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And then I'll let Rebecca right now come in with that. Rebecca?
Oh, responding? No, I would love to hear what people had to say. What does Dee Dee have right now?
Well, we have a bit of a delay on the chat from where we're talking, so I'll let you talk and then we'll see what's in the chat.
Oh, I was just feeling it in my body. I think that's how I receive the light language. And I love for someone else, I love being the receiver of it also, just when someone like Lisa's doing it, I'm like, oh, that's so yummy. Thank you. I felt it in my belly, in the heart space, but that's just me too. I wasn't trying to decode it. I didn't get so much of a a word reading. It was a somatic reading, let's say, on it. So still, yeah.
So Light Language Life said that her ears were ringing as you were speaking, Lisa, and she translates messages of balance and forgiveness, which makes total sense. And Nicole asked, was that a mantis? I don't know.
That was speaking through me?
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. I mean, from what I understand, it's like with light language, I'm just an antenna, so I guess whomever needs to come in comes in, and I'm really not sure who it is.
Yeah. Well, let me just also say, as the messages come in, speaking of the masculine and feminine, a lot of people were agreeing with us on what we were talking about on the masculine and feminine, and just, guys, all I can say, just keep spreading that message. Do not let people get divided. If you can like offer your insight to people, obviously we can't push things on people, but if an opportunity arises where you can help people understand how important it is to not be divisive in the masculine and feminine, and really learn to respect one another and be there for one another, and understanding the difference between wounded masculine feminine and then the harmonized masculine feminine is really important. Nicole said she shunned her feminine and favored her masculine too in her shielding, and now softening and being more vulnerable. Yeah, it's this whole act of being more vulnerable and softening, I totally relate to. It really started with me with my yoga practice, and just realizing that I just wanted to soften all my edges, because I'd been really edgy for a long time.
And I'm the exact opposite of you, Nicole. I'm like all this feminine. I need to bring my masculine in. And
so this is actually good. So, you as a woman, that you were really in your feminine and weren't using your masculine. And now you're starting to practice strengthening your masculine energies. So how what energies do you feel yourself starting to really honor and utilize more within the masculine?
I think mainly, one, using my voice, which I think is, to me, I associate that more with the masculine, and just assertiveness and strength, I think are what are big for me. I grew up with 7 girls in my house too, so I've been exposed to a lot of feminine energy my whole life. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. In fact, Nicole and Brian help me all the time, and they say, just make a decision. Go ahead. Use your masculine energy.
It's the decisiveness of the masculine. It's beautiful.
Yeah, because I'm always like, no, you decide whatever everybody else wants. Like, I'm just here for the ride. And I get called out on it now. It's like, no, you're not. You decide.
Well, Dee Dee has some information for us. I will read it out loud. A dance together pulls in, points to trees and land, shows night meeting day, beautiful. Happy we are joining, shows autopilot. Children go through these stages. We are children in balance. Keep the spirit of children. It shows many gathered, a welcoming in as we grow together. Autopilot, watch and learn from nature. Beautiful, Dee Dee. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I love that idea of the night meeting the day, the blend of
and being like children, I think, is so important. Children don't judge or care whether you're a boy or a girl, or you're just enjoying each other and having fun and being authentic, being you.
And that idea of dancing, that which Nicole pointed out here, very important, because I love when I do a lot of my meditations, or when I bring my hands together in my yoga, I always ask for the masculine and the feminine energies to dance or merge into union, and allow these energies to dance together. And I just think, when I think of the man and the woman, just from a physical standpoint, dancing and moving together, when you take that to an energetic place, it just encompasses so much beauty. Rebecca, I can tell that you have something you need to say.
No, there's something was coming in writing, so I just wanted to note that. It seemed like it was, Anyway, there was just not limiting ourselves in what we can be, who we can be, and not being unlimited, and actually allowing ourselves not to be in a box about even from moment to moment, day to day. We are malleable, and as we move into other dimensional aspects of ourselves, it's going to ask us to keep leaping into things that are absolutely beyond label, beyond even male, female. And I want to keep it grounded in that 3D aspect, but that we maybe don't even have words to define ourselves anymore at a certain point, and exploring that terrain, the unknown terrain of our being that's waiting to be born. I think there's a huge teaching in that.
Yeah. I feel compelled to say, and this may be too simple for everyone who's listening here, but just staying as disconnected from the matrix and the influence of it as much as you can, because there's just so much out there. There's so many shoulds, and what we all think that we're supposed to be. And I think for you to be able to be your best authentic self, you have to like shut all that other talk down, like the TV and the social media, and then just the things that are constantly bombarding us into believing that we have to be one thing versus another, or think a certain way or feel a certain way about something. And I can't say enough that it's almost like isolate yourself, only go to the things that resonate with you. And if it doesn't feel right, just walk away, shut it down, and don't let it penetrate you. Mm-hmm. We really all have to be vigilant in these times.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Maureen said that she finds herself also based in feminine. However, light language path has caused her light language path has caused her to be more open to the masculine side, voicing more of her beliefs and purpose. That's great. I think, I think I think all three of us can relate to that. I know for myself, using my voice and speaking out, because the feminine is about going in silence and the masculine is about projecting outward. And so, speaking your truth, but also speaking it from the heart space, which is like beautiful balance, masculine, feminine, is so important. And it really kind of, when we get the sounds and the words coming out of the mouth, you've now connected throat and heart chakra together very beautifully. So that's always nice. And then she also wrote that the channel, that being connected to the inner child joy is what connects us to manifesting our abundance. Yeah, that childlike joy is so important. So important. I always say that, like, when I feel like I'm in a really good place, my cells feel like they're jumping up and down like little kids, like on Christmas morning.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, and that's when manifesting's super easy. Like,
I have to say something to Dee Dee, because I get a chance to tell her this, but she had translated one of my light languages, and basically the suggestion they seemed to be giving me was just to like drive your car at night with the windows down and the music blasting, and like just have fun. And she's like, I don't know if you like to drive or like loud music or whatever. Yeah, you're spot on. That's exactly what I love to do. And it's just finding those things that make you feel joyful and happy, dancing or running in the rain. I don't know, whatever you'd like to do, just do it and laugh and have fun.
Yeah. So important. So important to honor that inner spirit, that inner child. Let that inner child come out and play.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me just see here. Christian, he's masculine, but he feels more of his feminine. And Nicole's been a hermit. Okay. Laughing till you cry, jumping in puddles. Christian, I feel like when I walk into a room, I could feel everyone's energy, good and bad. I get so much anxiety when that happens.
Yeah.
Ooh. Do we want to touch on that?
I could say what's helped me, not to interrupt Rebecca.
No, go ahead.
Because I've only recently become aware of how empathic I am and how other people's energies affect me. I never was able to kind of dissect it or see it for what it was before, until I slowed my life way down and then I started to, understand. But the one thing I have found really helpful is protection. So just protecting myself, whether it be whatever light resonates with you, gold Christ consciousness or white light or a rainbow light, and even just something kind of done quickly as you walk into a room or walk into a space. And light language really helped me learn this lesson, because I couldn't control it when it first came in, and I had to find a way to just like protect myself from all energies, because I felt like light language, like I would walk into a restaurant and it would just go nuts, like it was trying to heal everything in the room or something. And I'm like, okay, I got to control this. And by putting rainbow energy or white light or gold light or whatever it is around me, just mentally imagining that for just a few seconds has really helped. So I don't know if that'll help you, but that's my suggestion.
Yeah. I think also what I love to do is I love to just start expanding my energy field, like just making it really nice and big and like strengthening the field. If you want to almost think of it like a bubble, really strengthening, intensifying the perimeter of that, and just allowing that energy to expand upon itself and expand upon itself, and just so that really anything that's not resonating with you won't really come in and won't affect you, without that need of, I think one of the things that I kind of, it's not that I have an issue with, but I'm really starting to understand the subconscious programming of it and how it can affect us, is the word protection. It almost like has it, you instantly think like there's something you're fearful that you're protecting from. And I'm not saying that that's what you were trying to say, Lisa, but just for the audience, like who's listening, like sometimes it's nice to just know that you're just going to strengthen and intensify your energy field, so that nothing that really resonates with it is permeating through it. And that just kind of keeps you nice and clear and keeps you healthy. And it kind of just moves away from that idea of like, I need protection, I need to protect myself, and that fear-based kind of mentality. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist, but it's just, like little Jedi mind tricks. Rebecca and I were talking about that. Like there's sometimes you got to like kind of tweak a few things just to change the energy of it.
That makes total sense. I think the key is knowing that for me, was knowing that I'm empowered. Like I don't have to allow these other energies in to penetrate my field if I don't want to. Like I'm in complete control of that field. And I think once you just realize, oh, this is no big deal, like I'm aware of it, I know what's going on now, then I think it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and they've said Nicole says filter versus protection. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Filter.
Yeah. Perfect. I like it.
Mm-hmm. So, unless Rebecca, like, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
No, those are great. That's
okay.
Awesome. It's all about our intention and being aware of our power within a situation.
So before we end the call, I know that when the three of us were chatting on
last Sunday,
yeah, on the 1111 portal, your guides came in and really wanted to emphasize this going beyond polarity. Did they have anything else they wanted to share with everyone today before we close it off? Or because I know that they were pretty excited about that topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just give me a moment. Deixa-me na tinha na anda man lam twin landa ke ma na ka mushkilam pachin diam to kremachin ne tanem chin nan lak na shu kana mushkilian patum temne tin dear ones, we do feel it is about the empowered heart going forward together, and we stress together to move beyond the polarizations of good, bad, black, white, right, wrong. You eyes on the call all know about this. It's been keeping you separated to get to unity. We come through the pathway of open vulnerability, open clarity of the heart space. We love ourselves and all of our flaws, if you will. You're not have any flaws, but we know that's just the mind state. Now go into yourselves and embrace all that you see. And in this way, you embrace all that is in you and in me, and we come into the we of unity, the unity, unified field, the one and the one, the you and the me. We go together, we go together into unity. So, just embracing ourselves as the infants we all came in as, and that beautiful, vulnerable, imperfect humanity dripping with life and light and color is who we are. And embracing all that is so beautiful. There's a perfection in that. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dee Dee said something really beautiful. She says, like Rebecca said too about speaking to the body, the backaches, we could also speak to our feminine and masculine, our fears and our feelings, even the ringing in the ears, to integrate and heal, to learn. Dee Dee, thank you so much for that. That's beautiful. And I absolutely agree. I love that idea of speaking to our masculine and speaking to our feminine to heal those aspects and bring them into harmony, bring them into union within. And I think it's so important that we understand that our union with the divine is really based on our union from within. When we really bring in the union of our masculine and feminine, we are in full alignment with the divine energies. So it's so important for us to be doing that right now. I think, I just want to say one more thing before we close this off. This idea about going beyond polarity. When we go beyond polarity and we go into that like 0 point energy, and we go within the void, into that space, the void where it just is. And we go into that space a lot, and sometimes in our meditations, when we're really in a flow, it's almost like we're kind of in that energy. I also want to say that the reason why we don't live there all the time, as beautiful as it is because we've come here to experience. And we've come here to experience the polarities and learn and become master creators through that way. And how we become master creators is understanding the extreme polarities so that we can utilize that and bring it into balance and know the true harmony of it all. And so remember that void, as beautiful as it is, we did come here to experience the craziness of the polarities and really understand and learn that. And there's something really beautiful and divine in the polarities.
Here in the wild, wild west.
Here in the wild, wild west of Earth. So that's everything. So to the audience, Rebecca, if they would like to get in touch with you, do you want to just let our audience know where they can find you if they need to contact you for any reason, how they can get in touch with you?
Oh, they can go to my website. Can I? Oh, they can't. I can't leave that in the chat. It's Rebecca Rose.
Description. I've left
just go to the website and that's fine.
Yeah.
Rebecca Barfoot.
Yeah, RebeccaBarfoot.com. Right?
It's Rebecca Rose.
RebeccaRoseBarfoot.com. Yeah. And Lisa, you've got your light language channel, and I've got that in the description below if anyone wants to follow your light language videos and anything else you're going to be putting up. And yeah, I know. And so oh yeah, and our podcast, guys, Enlighten Up every Thursday. If you missed the one episode that Rebecca was on, I think it was 74, right?
73.
73. Okay. Episode 73, and it was a great episode. We had a lot of technical issues, just like we kind of did on this one at the beginning. It just seems like they follow us.
Well, you revealed Nemo for the first time ever on our podcast.
I think there was some of that happening.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, to you all in the chat. It was so nice to have you here, and thanks for participating and asking your questions and giving your wisdom, sharing your wisdom and your light with us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It was really nice to hear from you all. And really quickly, Maureen wrote, a close friend recently shared the concept that frequency attracts frequency. So if you're in high frequency, lower frequency cannot easily attach. And that is so true. Like attracts like.
Thanks,
so
Maureen.
thank you very much. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful night. And I will be back with you guys all really soon. And please, please take good care of yourselves. Lots of light and love and infinite bliss to you